everyone. It's Miss York and
Miss Spurlock.
And we are so excited for you to join us tonight for our reading story. We will be reading you a fiction story called Ada Twist, Scientist. And after we read the story, you guys are going to get to stop and do an experiment with us. So sit back, relax, and get ready for our fiction story, Ada Twist, Scientist, written by Andrea Beaty. And if you notice, I have a super cool lab coat on because I too am a scientist. Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but never making a sound. She learned how to climb and make her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight. She didn't slow down till she conked out at night. Her parents were frazzled, but they tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree, climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" As all good parents should. Ada's chin quivered. She tried not to cry. She took a deep breath and she simply said, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are pointy things stuck in her rows? Why are there hairs up in your nose?" She started with why, then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and they whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. That's a lot of questions. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zoo!" said Ada, which got her thinking, what is the source of this terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell, and does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She started at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest! This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zoo! The stink struck again, and just like that, hypothesis 2 was caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and a fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" She put the cat in the dryer. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count to 1, 2, 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said, "No." What? Ada queried. Her father said, "Go. You ruined our supper. You made the cat stink." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat and she sat, and she thought about science and stew and the cat. And how does her experiments make such a big mess? Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led to question 3 and more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and she tapped on her chin. She started at why and what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Oh, she drew on the wall. Her parents calmed down as they came back to talk. They looked at the hall and they just sat and they gawked. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with such a curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and they whispered, "It's okay. We'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. I mean, how could she resist? In all, she has the heart of a young scientist. As for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends from grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls the toes? Well, that is the question, and someday, who knows? The end. All right, you guys. So Miss Spurlock and I are going to do an experiment. We were wondering what happens when you mix 2 things that's in your kitchen right now. But in order to be safe, we must put on our goggles first. Oh, I hope this goes okay. All right.
Safety first.
Safety first. So, in a kitchen, you can find a white powdery substance. Has a strange smell. It's known as baking soda. And in your kitchen, you can find a clear liquid. Oh my God.
I can smell it from here.
It smells like pickles. Oh, my face is getting red. It
Yep.
smells like pickles. Okay. So, what would happen if we were to mix these 2 hazardous chemicals? Let's find out. I hope it goes okay. All right. Do you want to do the baking soda at the same time as I do the vinegar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh!